You're listening to Be the Exception Podcast, episode 164. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Be the Exception Podcast. I'm thrilled to have you join me today as we delve into a topic that holds immense significance in our special education journey, supporting students with sensory processing differences. Now imagine walking into your classroom and seeing the diverse group of students eagerly waiting for your guidance. Among them are individuals with unique sensory needs, and you're determined to create an environment that truly supports the learning and development. Well, my friends, you've come to the right place. In today's episode, we're going to embark on a fascinating journey through the world of sensory processing differences, focusing specifically on students with autism. But there's an exciting part. I'm not just here to share an abstract theory or textbook knowledge. Nope, we're going to talk about practical strategies, real-life examples, and actionable steps that help you implement these things right away. We'll unlock the power of sensory activities in the classroom, discovering how a few simple adjustments can make a world of difference with your students. Picture the joy on their faces as they engage with interactive sensory bins, utilize fidget tools to enhance focus, and enjoy rejuvenating sensory breaks throughout the day. These activities not only support their sensory needs, but also create an environment that is inclusive for all. Also, I've got a little secret to share with you. We've prepared an accompanying blog post to go along with this podcast so you can get the additional insight, action steps, and even some recommended books to take your understanding of sensory processing differences to new heights. So as we dive into this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with your friends who may also be wanting to learn about this topic even more, because community and support and inclusivity is so important in our roles as special educators. So let's go ahead and dive on into today's episode.
Welcome to Be the Exception Podcast. As teachers, each one of us has something that comes naturally to us that others would love to know more about. Throughout this podcast, we'll chat with amazing professionals and offer easily digestible tips that you can quickly implement in your classroom or business, helping you stand out with things you do really well. Your host, Dawn Ellis, is a qualified educational specialist with 10 years of special education experience, published journal articles, and was a state finalist for Elementary Teacher of the Year. Dawn provides tools for special education teachers to perform at their very best, helping deal with the frustrating daily obstacles of being an educator. She offers a roadmap of resources and strategies to make you a confident leader in your school and community. So if you're ready to start the conversation, learn from others, and grow together, you're in the right place. Now here's your host, Dawn Ellis.
Well, hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Be the Exception Podcast. It is the summer edition at the time of this recording of 2023, and I am so glad you're here. My name is Dawn Ellis, and I'm a special educator of 13 years, just finished up my 13th year, headed into my 14th. I am a board certified teacher as well as have my ed specialist in special education, and truly love diving into special education topics each and every week with you to help you find tangible, real life examples and techniques that you can quickly apply into your classroom. You can find me on social media at Cultivating Exceptional Minds. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. It's where my TPT store is, and my blog as well. So make sure that we are connected and following each other. I would love to see what you're up to this summer, and let me know if you have any thoughts about today's topic or any extra tips in today's post as well. Since it is summer, I also wanted to mention that with extended school year starting, there is an extended school year bundle that just got a facelift. It's got some brand new task cards, file folders, and adapted books, in addition to the items that were there last year as well, that include escape rooms, worksheets, even more task cards, and so much more. So this will help you spend less time preparing and more time teaching and doing things you enjoy this summer. It's enough for all 8 weeks if you are teaching extended school year. So make sure and check out that bundle. It is going to be such a lifesaver. One more thing, as we're talking about summer, I wanted to let you know that this summer, Special Ed Socials is back. It's where myself, from Dawn from Cultivating Exceptional Minds, Heather from Full Sped of Head, Jen from Teach Love Autism, and Ashley from Spectacular Days has joined together to create a free Facebook group for special education teachers to provide professional development all summer long. All you have to do is just join along. We have weekly chats, we have Q&As, we have a very vibrant group that is active, and I would love for you to join us this summer if you are looking for professional development that actually applies to your classroom and the kind of professional development that you need to better your skills before the fall. So check it out on Facebook. If you want the direct link, it is in my Instagram, in my bio. So check that out and make sure and join us. It is starting next week. So welcome to Be the Exception podcast, where today we're dedicating this episode all about strategies of sensory processing. I am dedicated to providing special education teachers with practical strategies and insights. Again, my name is Dawn Ellis, and today we'll be diving into the crucial topic of supporting students with sensory processing differences, including those that have autism. We'll explore the significance of sensory activities in the classroom and even dive into the process of creating a sensory room, as well as some different reads if you're wanting to learn even more about this topic. It is essential for us to understand and address these differences effectively. So, what exactly is sensory processing differences? Sensory processing differences refers to the way individuals perceive and respond to sensory information from their environment. Some students may be hypersensitive and find certain stimuli overwhelming, while others may be hyposensitive and have a difficulty noticing and responding to sensory input. For students with autism, sensory processing differences are especially common. It is our responsibility to employ strategies that support students with sensory processing differences. One effective approach is by incorporating sensory activities in the classroom. So let's discuss some examples of sensory activities that can be beneficial in your classroom. Number one would be fidget tools, and this is providing students with fidget tools such as stress balls, textured pencils, or even putty to help them regulate their sensory input and also maintain focus. In addition, number two would be sensory breaks. By integrating short sensory breaks into the daily schedule, this is essential. These breaks can include activities like stretching exercises, deep breathing exercises, or even a brief walk to the sensory room. Sensory bins is another way that you can provide these sensory activities in your classroom. Setting up sensory bins filled with materials like rice, sand, beans, or other items allow students to explore different textures, improve their tactile sensitivity, and promotes relaxation. These examples by incorporating these activities, we can truly make a difference in our students' learning experience. So now let's shift our focus to the components of a sensory room. We can create a sensory room to support students with sensory processing differences. Creating a sensory room provides a dedicated space where students can regulate their sensory input in a controlled environment. Here are some steps to consider when setting up a sensory room. First, identify a space. It should be quiet, secluded. It could be just a part of your classroom or a separate room within your school building. Ensure that this space is easily modified to meet the student's individual sensory needs. Number 2 is to include sensory elements. Incorporate various sensory elements in the room, such as lighting options, comfortable seating, soft textures, and a calming visual like posters or bubble lamps. These elements help create a soothing environment. Number 3 is to provide sensory tools. These sensory tools can include like weighted blankets, noise-canceling headphones, visual timers, tactile objects, and a variety of different sensory toys. These tools support self-regulation and promote a calming effect. And then number 4, individualize the space. Consider the unique sensory needs of each student. Collaborate with the occupational therapist, parents, and students to ensure that the room accommodates the specific requirements. Remember, supporting students with sensory processing differences is a vital aspect of special education. Now, to further expand our knowledge, if this is something that you're wanting to check out, I highly recommend 4 different books. If these are noteworthy titles that I have found that really help bridge the understanding of the sensory processing and how we can not only understand it more in depth, but how we can address it in our classroom. The first book, and these will all be linked in my Amazon storefront, is The Out of Sync Child, Recognizing Coping with Sensory Processing Disorder. It's by Carol Cranowitz. But this book offers a comprehensive guide to understand sensory processing disorder and provides practical advice for helping children with these sensory challenges. Another book I would recommend is Building Bridges Through Sensory Integration. Now, this is more of an occupational therapist look at sensory integration, but it still contained a lot of great information. It's a resourceful book that explores the relationship between sensory integration and the challenges faced by children with autism and other developmental disorders. It provides a wealth of sensory activities and intervention strategies. Book number 3 I would recommend is Sensational Kids, Hope and Help for Children with Sensory Processing Disorder, and this is by Lucy Jane Miller. And so in this book, Dr. Lucy Jane Miller shares her intensive expertise on sensory processing disorder and provides parents and educators a practical toolkit of supports to help children with these sensory challenges. And then finally, the autism discussion page on the core challenges of autism. This is a little more intense, but it's a toolbox for helping children with autism feel safe, accepted, and competent. Although not solely focused on sensory processing, this book does address the core challenges faced with children with autism, including their sensory needs, and offers practical strategies for creating supportive environments and enhancing the overall well-being of the student. So these books serve as excellent resources for special education teachers seeking a deeper understanding of sensory processing differences and autism. Remember, the more knowledge we acquire, the better equipped we are to create an inclusive and supportive environment for all of our learners. So by following these steps, we can create an inclusive environment that caters to the sensory needs of all of our learners. And so as we conclude, I want to remind listeners that you can find the information about how to create a sensory room on my blog. There's a step-by-step and examples of a sensory room, as well as how to fund a sensory room. So make sure and check that blog out. But thank you so much for taking time to join us today. If you have any questions or even suggestions, feel free to reach out. And until next time, continue making a difference in the lives of your students and creating a truly inclusive classroom.